is done and dusted. We've had a lot of guys do their best Scott Pye impressions today, and the top 10 is settled for the shootout tomorrow. The big news today is that Toyota unveiled the Supra model that they're going to be running in 2026. Well, it looked pretty much like the renderings and the clay model and that we saw, but it was a full-size model. Not quite sure what's going on with that nose there, but it's great to see that they're already quite involved in everything and their activations. Yeah, it looks they're going in with both feet, which is really good. It's not a half-assed effort or anything like that. The other big thing overnight, Scott Pye's car was fixed. Scott Pye and Will Brown's car, but after Scott Pye put it in the wall late there on Thursday, it was fixed, all up and running, no issues today. As we said, they're pretty professional operation. Everything's fine and dandy. Super 2, though, Mason Kelly will be out for the weekend. He did not partake in any of the sessions today. Brad Vaughan was the pace setter there in qualifying, 0.6 up on the field. Kai Allen did put it in the wall coming up the mountain, trying to keep up with that. So he ended up qualifying quite down the back. And then during the race, I think they just kind of cobbled it together to go out and score some points because he was, I reckon I could have driven around as fast as what he was in that one. Job Stewart lined up second, followed by the other two Tickford Mustangs in qualifying there. In the race, though, Brad Vaughan, not a very good start. Just got jumped off the line. Job Stewart took off, and then there was 5 wide going into kind of turn 1 there as everyone was trying to get around Brad Vaughan. Aaron Cameron and Max Fideau were the guys who followed him through there. We got to see a great battle with Brad Vaughan and Max Fideau. Ultimately, though, Brad ran off at the chase, which dropped him back down the field. It had all settled down until Aaron Cameron had power steering failure from second there, that he only had a couple of laps to go, and so that was really hard to that was tough to see because he'd done such a good job up to that point. But Job Stewart won the race by a country mile. It looked like one of the old 1,000 kind of finishes where someone was miles out in front. A really big win there. Max Fideau ending up second, and Ryland Gray there in third. Now for the main game, we had practice 3. A few little incidents in that session. It started off, Thomas Randall's car had a water pump failure. They were fastest in the session to that point, though, so they had lots of speed, which it didn't translate later in the day. We'll get to that. Cam Crick went in very heavy in the number 4 MSR car. Very similar incident to the Mostert one from many years ago, clipping that inside wall as you're coming into Forest Elbow. There's a lot of damage to that car. Jackson Evans had a lockup going into turn 1, buried it in the sand trap. Apparently that was all okay though, because they were playing with the setup and they expected it to happen. Interesting. Then Dylan O'Keefe wrecked the number 10, the second MSR car, going into turn 2 there, locked up into the tyre barrier. That called an end to the session. The number 1 car, Brodie Kostecki, probably very lucky not to run into him. He had to take to the grass. Cooper Murray stopped out on track, which wasn't sure what was going on there, but apparently they ran out of fuel. Feeney was the fastest, followed by Randall, who did get back out in the session. They fixed that water pump and off they went again. And James Courtney, he was third in that session. Then there was practice 4, which was a very uneventful session. We didn't see the MSR cars come out until much later in the session. Took about 20 minutes before the Percat car came out, and then about 5 minutes later, the Cam Hill car came out. But good to see both of them get out there, even if they did look very secondhand with a lot of the panels not quite right, but apparently underneath they were good to go. Dave Reynolds was the only one to touch the wall during the session. It was a very slight glance until Cooper Murray, right at the end, got into the wall at the dipper. It was a fairly hard hit, but nothing that couldn't be fixed before qualifying. The big news, I suppose, in practice 4 was all of a sudden Brodie had seemed to just be doing race running during the other sessions. They'd been very flying under the radar, and then bam, he went fastest. Just turned it on. That's a qualifying run. I'm good to go. Waters and Feeney were second and third in that session. Now for qualifying, where it all happened. Cooper Murray, they'd fixed that car. It was all good to go. And he was the only co-driver to partake in the session. Surprise, surprise. Then Dave Reynolds, fourth fastest at that point. They were actually, I'd kind of watching them earlier in the day and these guys, they could really be, probably not a pole car, definitely in the top 10, and they're actually looking quite good. Kind of coming over Skyline there, got on the curb, bit awkward, bam, into the wall coming into the dipper. That was a big hit. You could tell his voice when he was in the car, and that was, And then even with, obviously it caused a red flag, so he lost his fastest time at that point. It only dropped him to 12th, which, obviously then he dropped further down towards the end of the session. They ended up, I think it was 21st in the end. Not the end of the world, but not great, especially with the amount of damage that needs to be. That's a lot of damage to that car. That's going to hurt, that one. The red flag, though, it did give a lot of teams chances to do some setup changes, and off they went. Aaron Love and Brodie Kostecki both got into the wall at the top of the mountain. That probably stopped Brodie from being the fastest. He was looking really good until that point for getting provisional pole for Sunday. Then right at the end of the session, while everyone was getting their final laps in, Will Davison hit the wall hard at the dipper, causing a red flag and meaning that no one or a lot of guys kind of missed out on that last lap. I'm not sure how many were going to go. Everyone will, say that they were going to go faster and they were going to make it into the top 10. But I don't think it affected too many people really in the end. But my God, did he go in hard. There is a lot of damage to that 17. The poor mechanics at DJR and Team 18 have got a big night ahead of them. It looked a bit like Nick Percat had kind of lost it and got involved in it. I'm not sure if he was just stopping to try and help Davo because it was a pretty serious accident, or whether he kind of lost it and while I'm here, I'll see how you're going. A bit of friendliness there. Anyway, the Golding, the first one to miss out on making the top 10, he'll start the race in 11th. The two MSR cars was surprisingly 12th and 13th. That was probably my biggest shock of the qualifying session because they were so close considering they still had a lot of panel damage on those cars. Reynolds still beat Winterbottom in qualifying, even after losing his fastest lap and then sitting out basically the whole session. So, not a lot of speed there from Winterbottom. Randall was probably the biggest scalp. I expected him to be inside the top 10. He's probably the only one that him and Golding, which Golding was so close. I expected Randall to be in the top 10. He ended up 19th, so a long way off the pace. I also expected Reynolds to be in the top 10, but obviously, with the crash, that kind of explains that. Love got himself in 20th on the grid, okay? So, I said he was going to be last, but poor Matt Charter is the new Aaron Love. Then the top 10 shootout tomorrow will be both Grove cars. They'll bookend the session. Payne fastest, Stanaway in 10th. Both Triple Eight cars, both Erebus cars. Waters, Mostert, Heimgartner and Di Pasquale will be the ones partaking in the top 10 session. There will, of course, be 2 practice sessions during the day before we have the top 10 later on in the day. I will be doing another video at the end of tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. My predictions for pole, I think it is going to be... This is a tough one. It's going to be between Waters, Kostecki and Feeney. I think they're the 3 that are really going to go for it, even though Payne was quickest today. I think Kaseki will come out and take pole, and then it will be one of those three will be the ones shooting for it, with probably Payne in fourth, unless it rains, and then Richie Stanaway is going to blow everyone away. But yeah, another exciting day at the mountain. I will catch up with everyone tomorrow with another video reviewing the top 10 shootout. So until then, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.